And if you want to sit your back just on this side. Great. How are you doing, ma'am? Good to see you. Yeah, you're doing great.
Thank you. Somebody hold the
Hey, did we hold the mic? Okay, never mind. He's got a friend. Sorry.
Hey, man, because if you're speaking, you want to finish the prosecutor. Yeah, I've done too many.
We got one still setting up. We'll start here in just a second. Good. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. This morning is a call to action, a call to bring attention and action to an alarming increase in domestic violence homicides right here in Kansas City. Last year, our city recorded 12 domestic violence related homicides for the entire year. Today, on April 7th, 2025, we've recorded 12 domestic violence homicides since January 1st. These incidents involve intimate partner violence and violence amongst family members, to include parents and their children. Behind me, I have Mayor Lucas, Prosecutor Melesa Johnson, I'm so sorry, Prosecutor Melesa Johnson, Mayor Pro Tem Park Shaw, members from Hope House, New House, Rosebrooks, Synergy, and Moxa. Domestic violence survivors, there's help for you. We can help you out of an abusive relationship. Your abusers will be held accountable. Many of these crimes go unreported, likely due to them happening in the home. Even without reports written, some of you are struggling in an abusive relationship. And some of you have family members who you know are involved in an abusive relationship. There is a way out. Everyone deserves to feel safe, especially in their own home. I'm standing here today with leaders and trusted community outreach organizations who want you to be safe and want you to know that they are here to help you. If you know of someone who is in an abusive relationship, please pass the message heard here today on to them so that they know that there's hope. It's time to talk openly about domestic violence with your loved ones. Together, we must hold domestic violence abusers accountable. Each time KCPD officers are called to domestic violence incident, we administer the lethality assessment program, which is a screening tool, a brief series of questions to quickly assess the risk of escalating violence in domestic violence situations, aiming to connect high-risk victims with immediate safety planning and services. Many times, we are taken up on the offer of a safety plan, resources, shelter, a way out. But sometimes we are not. We let our survivor know there is a way, there is a lifeline. KCPD also deploys domestic violence support teams who support detectives in assisting with residence checks, locating victims and witnesses, conducting area canvasses for video evidence, stop orders, and apprehension of abusers. The domestic violence support teams regularly check for individuals with active warrants, and we make arrests. We also have a domestic violence advocate embedded with our detectives to ensure survivors are connected to needed resources. Oftentimes, our KCPD social services team also respond to calls for service with our officers. They follow up with domestic violence survivors, offering them support, help with relocation needs, and also basic services, basic needs. Today, I want Kansas Cityans to hear our message. Know we are a lifeline. We're here to help end the cycle of domestic violence and hold abusers accountable. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jackson County Prosecutor Melesa Johnson.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for convening us all here this morning to talk about such an important issue. Just this past Friday, myself, Chief, and other members of our community addressed you all to talk about the successes and the progress that we are making as it pertains to group and gang violence. However, today, we are here talking about another subject that needs drastic help, and that just goes to show you that it is never a one-size-fits-all approach to fighting crime here in our community. Last year, 1 out of 12 homicides that happened in our community had a nexus to domestic violence. This year, 1 in 3. 1 in 3 of our lives lost were predicated on a domestic violence incident. And these are results of patterns that could have been addressed before they turned deadly, which is why I'm so happy that we have our community partners here with us. You know, my first couple of weeks in office, I did direct law enforcement and municipal prosecutors around Jackson County to begin sending serious domestic violence cases to my office for review. Any domestic violence incident involving strangulation, serious injuries, even a child witnessing the incident, all are on the list of offenses that should be sent to my office directly so that felony conduct can be married with felony consequences. When we give these cases the proper attention from the start, we can appropriately charge and secure sentences before violence has a chance to escalate. And if I may take a point of privilege right here, not all domestic violence cases evidentiary can reach the felony level. Not all, but the ones that can, we want to make sure that they are being routed to the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office for appropriate charging consideration. The consequences of failing to address this behavior are devastating. Just last month, we secured a 22-year sentence for a man who shot and killed his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend. Before that shooting occurred, the defendant had accumulated more than 10 municipal charges related to domestic violence involving his ex-girlfriend, which normally results in tickets, fines, and minimal jail time. By the time that this case reached my office, frankly, it was far too late. And it's just one story of too many tragic homicides and showing us that early intervention is absolutely vital. In addition to directing municipal prosecutors and police to send domestic violence cases to our office, we are looking at other ways to be proactive before a case even comes across our desk. We have now a whole unit dedicated to targeting repeat offenders, working to ensure they face appropriate charges. We are also paying close attention to cases involving animal cruelty, which we have seen in many of our cases as predictive of co-occurring crime with violence against humans. If mandated reporters could identify and report cases of animal cruelty, and if animal control officers spot signs of animal cruelty in a home and report it, we can intervene with resources before the situation becomes worse. In the prosecutor's office, we have compassionate victim advocates who connect victims of domestic violence to vital resources, including some of the organizations here today. It is not lost on me the ask that we are making when we are requesting somebody to walk into a courtroom and face the accused that they have a relationship with, that they might share children with, that they share a home with. And so we are going to do everything in our power to make cooperating with the law enforcement and prosecution process as easy as possible. We also have 2 emotional support dogs who are in our office all day, every day, who can help both children and adults feel more comfortable when they are being deposed, when they are practicing their testimony in preparation for court. And we even just opened a clothing closet in our office so that survivors of domestic violence have things to wear, can feel confident enough to take the stand, because I have already stated that it is a huge ask, and as many barriers that we can remove, the better, not only for our office, but for the survivors that we are aimed to serve. We are working to tackle this issue at every angle, in close collaboration with law enforcement partners and our valuable service providers. We want all victims, all survivors to know that you are not alone. Help is available, and we stand ready and willing to support you. Now I will hand it over to Eileen Sheehan of Hope House.
Thank you. I just want to say that it is a great honor to be able to be a part of this process. Hope House, Rosebrooks, Newhouse, Synergy Services, Moxville, we've all been around for a long time, and we've heard victims, we've heard their stories, we've heard their voices, and that's why we're still standing here today, now in this partnership, because we know that this domestic violence is not just a one-person problem. It's just not the DV agency's problem. It is a problem in our community. We work hand in hand with law enforcement. We work with the prosecutor's office. We work with the systems. We hear what's being missed. We hear gaps. And we are also now here working to close those gaps and figure out what else can be done. I know people are listening because I've had advocates reporting that survivors are telling them they've seen Ms. Johnson on the news and they know what she said, and that's why they're calling the police. And the police are responding to those calls, they're doing their job, and it's then the what next with the systems. We have to be able to be here to support survivors, victims of domestic violence when they call us. We work together with the Metro hotline, it's 816 hotline. They can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to just be calling for shelter, because sometimes we hear that quite often is, oh, I don't need shelter, I don't need to call them. We have a lot more to offer than shelter. You're able to bring your animals to our shelter if that's what you're needing. You're able to get counseling support groups. We have contract attorneys who help with divorce, child custody, orders of protection. We are here. So please, if you are in a situation and you need to get out, call us. Let us help you make a safety plan. Let us help you walk through this together. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kansas City Mayor Pro Tem Raina Parshaw. Thank you so much, Chief, for bringing us all together. Today, we stand together to address the heartbreaking reality of domestic violence homicides that continue to devastate families across Kansas City. These tragedies are not just numbers, they are lives lost, they are homes broken, and they are trauma that ripples through our entire community. In response, I was proud to introduce a new safe haven policy that establishes our city's fire departments, our fire stations, as secure, immediate refuge points for individuals fleeing domestic violence. This policy ensures that every Kansas City Fire Department station is not just a place for emergency response, but a place where victims can find safety, compassion, and connection to life-saving support. Under this policy, fire personnel will be equipped with clear guidelines and responsibilities to assist victims who walk in seeking help. Whether they need medical attention, police support, or simply a safe space while they figure out their next steps, our stations will be ready. Victims will never be left alone. Same-gender support will be prioritized, and connections to shelters or hospitals will be made with care and urgency. This policy turns our fire stations into lifelines, the lifelines that the Chief talked about, making sure that no one in crisis has to face danger alone. Because we know that, unfortunately, some people may not be ready to call the police. They may need to get away. And when I saw this policy implemented in another city, I knew that this was something that we needed to do here in Kansas City. This is about taking action, using every city resource available to save lives, and ensuring that anyone in danger knows Kansas City is a community that sees you, hears you, and will protect you. Let this be the first of many steps that we take to make our city safer for all. And I also want to acknowledge a partner that wasn't able to be here today. Jessica McClellan with Giving Hope and Help works in partnership with these agencies to provide services and funds for hotel stays, to pay bills and things like that. So that is another resource that you can access by connecting with these domestic violence shelters that can be available for those in need. Thank you.
I'm your last speaker before questions, so I won't go too long. I'm Quinton Lucas, the mayor of Kansas City. First of all, I want to say thank you to so many people gathered with us today. I want to apologize for taking y'all away from the good work you do each day as well. Because every day, every hour, these organizations are there for our families, our survivors, our children, our community, our offenders, everybody, to make sure that we can find a way to stop this cycle of domestic violence. I'm going to talk about a few different steps in my life that are the reason that I'm actually here right now, going from most recent to some of the earlier ones. Most recently, I was looking at our crime statistics, and the chief laid them out. This number of homicides, this number of domestic violence homicides in every part of our city, by the way, is something that will never be acceptable for us. This is not just something that is a regular occurrence. It is not something that is extra to an other area of violent crime. This is something that we care about deeply and that we will address. Years ago, when I was a city councilman, we had a conversation about the number of homicides in our city, years ago. Everybody who's in this conversation is retired, for the most part. But the response that we got was, well, sometimes there's just not a lot you can do. I thank you, Chief Graves. I thank you, Prosecutor Johnson. I thank you, so many others, for knowing that there is a lot that we can do, and there's a lot that we must do to make sure we address this issue. Earlier on in life, and it's something that no one cherishes or enjoys, and it's pain that we carry for some years. I've never been a victim of domestic violence, but I'm someone who has lived around it. Seeing your mother afraid, seeing your family scared to go home, experiencing that yourself, not wanting to be in your house, that is something that affects not just a survivor, that affects everyone. Children, families, communities. That's what we have in Kansas City right now, and that's what we're committed to making a difference about. So these aren't numbers for us. Yes, we are concerned with the higher numbers we have, but what we are saying to every survivor, every friend, every person, call someone. Know that there is help here. If we need more help, we will find it, but we will make a difference in this community. Everyone deserves to be safe. Everyone deserves to know there is someone listening to them and advocating for them. And Kansas City will lead in that area in making sure we address this issue. We have too many domestic violence homicides already this year. Let's stop them now. Let's make sure that we have places for people to call. As was noted, necessarily, let's make sure we have consequences for offenders. Because one of the most dangerous times for victims of domestic violence is after they finally have made that call. And we need to make sure that that person isn't just on the streets to reoffend and terrorize their families, but that they are held accountable for the harm they're bringing on their families, their partners, and our community. So I thank you all so much. I really, really do. I have met and spoken to most of you over the years, and they're folks that are out there each and every day making sure that we can make a difference for families and people in Kansas City. So thank you, no matter where you are in our city, and I'll just be honest, no matter where you are in the region, or where you can hear the sound of my voice, call us and we'll try to get you to the right place. But we are going to try to make a difference in Kansas City, and what we're going to do is make sure that we save lives and allow families and allow people to live safely in our community. With that, do you have any questions?
When you look at the data for the 12 homicides, is there something that it's telling you? Is there something in common with some of these? Or there are lack of beds in some of the shelters? Are there weak laws in Jeff City? What are you seeing that's contributing to it?
I think the problem is, and what makes it so challenging, is there isn't just one factor that's contributing outside of that abusive relationship. You know, there are some incidents involving abusers and victims where there were no reports taken prior to the incident, and some that there were. So they're all various different circumstances that came to a tragic end.
But is there anything that's contributing it? I did a story recently, and I spoke to advocates, and they were saying they were seeing more after COVID. They were seeing, guns in situations that they weren't taken away. 3 to 12 is quite a bit.
Right. Well, when it comes to COVID during that time, there were a lot of situations where there were, some of these abuses, even with child abuse, that weren't being reported because there wasn't that outlet, like the workspace where some of our survivors go every day, and maybe they would have gotten a little bit of assistance or at least ask some questions. Same way with child abuse, kids weren't in the schools. They weren't able to report some of those abuse situations to their counselors. So coming out of COVID, I don't know if I would necessarily attribute the increase this year. Like I said, it's a layered issue with a lot of contributing factors. But out of this message here today, we want people to know there is a lifeline. We are here to help. We are here to make sure that we're connecting our survivors to either resources or even if it's a safety plan. If they're ready to leave, if they're not, know that we're here. I think that's part of the lethality assessment program is when officers are having that contact with survivors, they're delivering that message. They're letting them know, they're giving them that opportunity to connect with a domestic violence advocate. And sometimes that opportunity isn't necessarily taken advantage of at that moment. But that person knows that we are here when they're ready.
Let me make two quick.
Sure.
I'll make 2 quick points on this that perhaps some of the other officials don't have the ability to make as well. There is a very real challenge with guns and retention of firearms by abusers. That is something that the city over recent years has tried to address better. When I became mayor, when I was first elected to office, we still, particularly in the municipal court realm, had folks that were retaining firearms after being adjudicated domestic offenders. We didn't have a process for return of those firearms, and in some situations, I think we saw long-term concerns. We have tried to address that by having folks surrender those firearms in more situations, adding on that level of responsibility, but that is something that we continue to see as a very real concern. The other thing that I will note, tangential to your question, is that we need to continue to try to make the process for protecting someone more efficient. Totally unrelated to domestic violence, but I had to get an order of protection recently. I'm an attorney. I'm the mayor of Kansas City. I've got security people with me all the time, and it's not easy. It's not easy for me. The steps of service are challenging. There are a number of steps necessary to try to protect someone. If it's that challenging for me, then it's very challenging for someone if you change any number of those circumstances. Something that I would love for us to explore on the city side or with all of our partners. We have tenants' right to counsel. We have done a lot more in providing lawyers and counsel to help support people in situations where they're confronting evictions and other issues. All that we can do to try to provide more support for the system for those who are obtaining orders of protection, those who are trying to come with some way to make themselves safer, is something that I think is very worthwhile of our time, in addition to our Safe Haven program.
And I'll add one quick thing. Our state laws do need to be updated and actually contemplate how abuse in 2025 looks completely different than what it did 20, 25 years ago. If somebody is leaving 50 comments under one of your social media posts and they have an aggressive nature and tone, that is harassment. That is a form of abuse. If somebody is locking you out of your apps that allows you to access your financial institutions, that is abuse. And frankly, our state laws that actually give us the foundation to hold individuals accountable do not explicitly contemplate how modern harassment and abuse in the technological age happens and how it is just as, if not more devastating and indicators of abuse as they can be. And so I did want to also add that.
Other questions?
Kansas Cityans are set to vote on public safety sales tax tomorrow. Does the city plan to use any of that revenue to address these domestic violence?
Yes. I mean, foundational. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. Probably the number one reason I support our investment in a detention and rehabilitation facility relates to my concerns with domestic violence in Kansas City. Full stop. I respect victims in every other criminal category, but I'll just keep it 100 with you. If there is somebody who has harmed a partner, somebody who has harmed their children, and if for whatever reason that is in the municipal court system, and I'll remind you, those include strangulations, those can include a number of different assaults, that person should face some consequence. That person should have some separation from the people that they are abusing and terrorizing. And the way that you do that is through detention for some period. I am all about rebuilding lives. I'm all about counseling, but step one is to separate someone from the offense, from the victim, and to make sure that everyone is safe. I think foundational in our investment in a detention and rehabilitation center is making sure that we have enough spaces, that we make sure that everyone who is arrested for that offense and needs to be incarcerated is. Today, I can't make that promise, and I think that is frustrating for the public safety of Kansas City and for victims of domestic violence in Kansas City.
We'll take 2 more questions.
One question for the police department chief. Talking about the immigration community, most of them are victims of domestic violence, but they are scared to call the authorities for their immigration status. What's your message for the Latino community?
The Kansas City, Missouri Police Department provides police services to everyone. Plain and simple. If someone needs help, call police and we'll be there to help them with their issue to keep them safe. We put out a statement probably a couple months ago as it relates to the enforcement of immigration laws that we want people here in Kansas City to know that if someone needs emergency service, if people need police service, if you're a human being with a beating heart, you will get police service here in Kansas City. Okay, next question.
You mentioned that there was like a new unit to target these repeat offenders. What is that exactly? Can you explain that?
The Crime Strategies Unit in the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office that was launched on March 10th. It is a dedicated team of about 3 attorneys right now focused on repeat offenders amongst multiple categories of offenses, whether we're talking about property crime, whether we're talking about violent crime through our Save KC initiative, group-oriented violence. And now, yes, we are looking at prolific and repeat domestic violence offenders, which is why we have that open channel of communication between our office and municipal prosecutors' offices all around Jackson County. Hey, municipal prosecutor, if you see a defendant that has accumulated 6, 7, sometimes even 10 cases in the incident that I talked about earlier today, pick up the phone and call us so we can creatively strategize how to elevate that individual to the felony level so appropriate consequences can attach. The unit I was referring to is the Crime Strategies Unit.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody.